Hello, my name is Dr. Maya Byfield. My business is The Phenomenal STEMist. I'm so excited to be here in Orange County because it's where I live. I live in Apopka, Florida. And I decided to make this business because I saw a need for underrepresented students to be successful in STEM, which stands for science, technology, engineering, math. And the best way I can do that is just provide products for parents to prepare them, whether it's a book or online STEM camps or just video podcasting. My goal is to transform this community, especially those who are underrepresented. And the way to do that is to help parents understand their children's minds and basically develop them at different stages of their lives to be prepared for a successful STEM career. Thank you so much. That's why I'm here.
No sound that whole time. No sound. No sound. Good thing I saw the chat in time. I'll say this again. I was dancing and I was singing, and you missed my voice and everything. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? I think you can hear me now. Can you hear me now? Good, good. Man, no sound. I'll say this again. I am so excited about those of you who watched last week. Um, so many people, I think it's one of my number top views on Facebook, basically discussing student loan debt. And I'm so happy that so many people were able to get some information about how to financially prepare for college. Listen, those of you who are watching, hey Paul, hey mom, good to see you all. Do me a favor and share this. We're going to be talking about good debt today. But before I do that, I got to get into the homework. I got to get into the homework. The homework is first, get that book. Phenomenal STEMist, available on Amazon now. The Phenomenal STEMist. The Phenomenal STEMist. Get that book. How to prepare a successful STEM student from the womb to the university. It's on Amazon now. Always please do me a favor, share. Click that share button. Click that subscribe button. Click that notification bell to remind you when I'm coming online to talk. We're going to have a good discussion today, great discussion today. And of course, you can follow me always on all social media platforms. This is streaming on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube at the same time. At the same time, you gotta love technology. You gotta love technology. Lastly, head over if you want to know where my book is. You can literally go to www.phenomenalstepmiss.com. There's a link there versus you trying to search the book. And of course, there are all kinds of STEM camps that are virtual for your kids. With that with that being said, thank you, Mom. Thank you, Mom, for doing your due diligence and sharing. All right, all right. We're talking about we're talking about leverage today. We're talking about leverage. Leverage. What do I mean by leverage? What do I mean by leverage? I like the picture that I had on the thumbnail. There's this weighing balance, and there's coins, and there's a clock. Love that. Love that. There's coins in the clock. That's like the perfect view of leverage to me. When you think of a lever biologically or scientifically, physically, a lever is something that you use to help pick up something, right? So, and you do it exponentially. Like I could use my hand to pick this up. See, I can pick it up and I can carry it, or I can roll it up the hill, or I could do something with it. But if I have a lever, what was my favorite? One of my favorite playground playground rides, the seesaw, like, whoo, just like you that little fulcrum in between can cause massive. Somebody on one side could shoot you up in the air. Like, what? Seesaw. One of my favorite playground rides was the seesaw. And my point is, leverage just means using something to provide exponential growth. Exponential growth. So there are 4 types of leverage. I'm waiting to get on my computer. My computer is just stalling today. And 4 types of leverage in relation to debt. Like I asked the question earlier this week, can you have good debt that's coming from phenomenal financial freedom? You know, I used to the name of the group used to be uh all kinds of names like that. Before I had the phenomenal logo, it was debt freedom, freedom stewardship group. I think that was the first name, and then I think I changed it to financial debt freedom, or then I think I changed it to phenomenal debt freedom, and then I realized, I don't necessarily want to be 100% free from debt. Debt is not necessarily 100% bad. So then I called it phenomenal financial freedom. And that's how you got the group's name, Phenomenal Financial Freedom. There is a reasonable amount of debt. Did you know that? What do you think a reasonable amount of debt is? So if you remember, I told you I don't like student loans, but I didn't say you can't have them at all. I had student loans. I had $15,000 in student loans. Why? Why did I take out student loans? Leverage. Leverage. I didn't want to go to other institutions. I didn't want to go to other institutions. I didn't want to go to my state institutions. I didn't want to go to community college at the time. That was just me. Um, while it's a great right, those institutions are great and affordable. They don't necessarily, especially in the 90s, they did not have a great track record with African Americans. African Americans, I know some people who will be in community college for 4, 5, 6 years. It's just my people, you know what I'm saying? I just watched how they didn't get the services that they need. Many PWIs have issue with microaggression. That this is nothing new. This is this reality. What was a PWI? A PWI is a predominantly white institution versus a historically black college university, HBCU, right? And especially in the early 90s, when I was going to school. I went to school from mid 90s, 96 to 2000. And, think about it. Rodney King just got beat bad in 91, like I grew up in a time, and it's not nothing compared to before, but there was still amount of issues where I felt that I wanted to graduate in a reasonable amount of time. I wanted to go to a place where I was highly supported, heavily engaged, a place that had high levels of expectation. Now, I don't work at a HBCU. I work at a community college, state college now. So I'm passionate about that, and I'm bringing that into my institution, right? So many institutions are changing, but when I was going to school, I just did not feel safe. Didn't feel safe. I didn't feel I would graduate in a reasonable amount of time, and I didn't feel that I would be as heavily supported as my HBCU. So I went to one. I went to a historically, and research shows that the retention rates of African Americans in PWIs are abysmal compared to HBCUs. When a black man goes to Morehouse and says he wants to become a physician, he's more likely going to be one. That's just data. He's more likely if a young woman goes to Spelman, goes to Oakwood, goes to Howard, when they say, "Hey, I want to be an engineer," goes to North Carolina A&T and say, "I want to be an engineer." A black man is highly likely to be what he wants to be when he goes to North Carolina A&T HBCU. It's just a push. It's just a push, right? So I'm thinking leverage. I'm thinking, man, I don't want to be in school for 5, 6, 7 years, because though you might go to school for cheap, so yeah, it only costs a little bit of money to go to school. If you're there for 5, 6, 7 years, you're wasting time. Time is money. Time is money. So I figured, hey, I'm going to go to my institution, HBCU, where I feel supported. Number one. Number two, it costs. So either I decide to just take 2 classes a semester to afford it, or I go full throttle. And when I went full ride, I was taking 16, 17 hours a semester. That cost money. It costs money. Money that I didn't have. Do I not take by me taking those classes together, biology and chemistry and physics, right? These classes together versus spreading them out over 5, 7 years, I was able to get into graduate school in a reasonable amount of time and become a PhD in a reasonable amount of time and become the professor that I am in a very good amount of time. Time is money. So it was worth it to me to invest $15,000 in student loans. I didn't do crazy amounts. Remember what I told you about student loans. If you decide to get student loans, it's not a problem. The key thing, it has to be, listen to me, this first year salary. So if you want to be a teacher in Florida, which is the number 49th state in regards to pay, yo, Florida needs to pay these teachers, right? 49 states in regards to pay, and you're making $50,000, $60,000 a year, right? Or probably less in your first year, but let's say you make $50,000 in your first year. That means you should not have more than $50,000 in debt total for your whole college career. Are you listening to me? So I only had 5,000. My first year's salary was nothing, like way more than that, right? So it was a good investment. It was a great return because I was able to graduate 4 years versus stay forever because I couldn't afford it just paying cash. And I was able to recoup that money fast. And that's how it is with all debt, right? You could raise $200,000 for the home, but by the time you raise the $200,000, the home is probably going to be worth 400, and you're probably going to be 50. Never bought a home yet. So it's best that you take out a mortgage. I'm happy that I took out a mortgage for my house 13 years ago. Was it 13 years ago? Oh, no, not 13. 2013. 9 years ago. 2013. 9 years ago, I took out a mortgage. And the property value of my home was my property value has more than doubled. If I waited to raise 200,000, first of all, I wouldn't have it yet. But my property value would have been double. I would not be able to afford a home today if I had not bought the home 9 years ago. I'm so grateful because look at the rent prices right now. Look at the rent prices right now. I'm hearing from my friends that they have a $1,300 rent jumping $600 to 1,900 or something like that. Tell me I'm wrong. I can't remember. I think it was that, right? Let's do the math on that. Science, technology, engineering, math. What is the percent difference for having a house at $1,300 and then in 1 month your landlord tells you your rent is going to be $1,900? Let's do it. Final minus initial over initial. Let's do that. Clear. Final, which is 1,900, minus initial, which is 1,300, divided by initial, which is 1,300, times 100% is 46% increase. Can you believe that? Listen to me. There are people in Florida. I don't know other states, but it's happening crazy in Florida. We don't have rent control. We need to get rent control in our state. There are people in Florida who one day they're paying $1,300 and their rent jumps 50%. 50%. They're paying 50% increase. That's not happening to me. Why? Because I have a home and I'm happy. I have a reasonable priced home. What I'm paying for, I'm paying less in mortgage what those folk are paying for 2-bedroom apartments. All right. So what am I saying? I'm saying it's wise to take out debts for leverage. Right? So what's a reasonable amount of debt? Let's look at the answer. This is coming from Investopedia. What's a reason? They have a formula. Do you know this formula? It's called the 2836 rule. How many of you know? Just shout out in the chat. How many of you know the 2836 rule? 2836. Does anybody know that rule? Okay. The 2836 rule says that the household should spend no more than 28% of their gross income on housing. All right, let's do your math. I want you to do your own math. My mom says taxes and insurance have gone up. Landlord passing on expenses to the that's what's happening. That's what's happening. And my mortgage went up, but not 46% because insurance went up for me. The insurance went up for me. So, it went up, but not 46%. Plus, on top of that, I'm building equity in my home. Like my net worth has drastically doubled because of the investment I made via a debt. A mortgage is a debt. Good debt. Never heard of it. 2836 rule. All right, bro. Here's the rule. Your household expenses should not be more than 28%. What does that mean? All right. So let's say you make $80,000. Let's say you make $80,000. Click. I'm about to set folk free. Yeah, they got to make a profit. That's what's going on. They got to make a profit. Let's say you make $80,000 a year times 28. We're doing math today. Science, technology, engineering, and math, right? Divided by 100. That's how you do it. 28% of your salary. You times 28 times your salary and divide it by 100. That's $22,400 a year. So divide that by 12 months. You should not be paying more than $1,866. If you have um a salary of $80,000, you should not be paying more than $1,866 on all home related. I'm not talking about mortgage. I'm talking about rent, mortgage, homeowners insurance, taxes, HOA fees, taking care of your lawn, taking care of your like whatever you're doing that's related to your housing, you should not if you're making $1,800. That's somebody making $80,000. That's a lot. That's a lot of money. What does the average American make, y'all? What does the average American make? The average American makes about $40,000 a year. So let's do that. 28 times 40 equals 28 times $40,000 a year divided by 100. So 16,000, divide that by 12 months. That's 1,300. I just told you folk who live in poverty had their rent jump from 13 to 1,900 in Florida. The average Floridian makes $40,000 a year. How did their rent go to $1,900? You listen to me. $1,900 when they really can't afford $1,900. They can't even afford $1,300 rent. Because like I said, it's going to be rent and all the utilities. You got to add it up. Add up your rent or your mortgage, your utilities, your HOA fees, your property taxes, your insurance, all of that. Add it up. And if it's too much, you need to either make more money or downsize. It's okay to downsize. You don't need that 5-bedroom apartment. You don't need to live in that offshoot community where you think it's so great, where every time you go there, they leave. Like, it's time to stop fronting, and it's time to start living by financial principles. Like Rochelle said, she never even heard of it. I'm sure most people haven't even heard of the 28-36 rule. Okay, but that's just the 28 part. That's just the 28 part. What about the 36 part? Listen, here's the 30. I'm talking about reasonable debt. Reasonable debt. My mother says most folk are now sharing costs, having roommates. You got to. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I mean, I'm not doing it now, but I did it when I was younger. And it helped boost my net worth. I was able to get totally out of debt outside of my mortgage with the help of a roommate. Ain't nothing wrong with roommates. Nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with going home to live with your mama neither. I did that till 35. The boasting and the flossing, you see what's happening with Hunter Biden? This dude has a Porsche, a $1,600 car note for his Porsche. Did you see his expenses? He's living a fake lifestyle. He has a huge tax bill with fake lifestyles, and you think he's the son of the president of the United States, guys. That's America for you. America, we fronting. America be fronting. America is fronting. I'm sorry, I got to use my Dr. Maya Byfield tone. The 36 part. What's the 36 part? All right. The 36 part says you should not have, and households should spend no more than a maximum of 36% on total debt outside of the mortgage, I believe. Total debt service, housing expenses, plus other debts such as car, loan. Actually, it includes the house. It includes the house. Let me read it. So if you earn $50,000 a year, the 28-36 rule says you should not exceed $14,000 or about $11.67 a month, and your personal debt should not exceed $4,000 or $333 a month. Listen to me. Somebody who makes $50,000 should not have more than 36% in debt. 36% in debt. Okay, let's do the 80,000. Let's do the 80,000 for the rich folk, right? Let's do that. Sorry. Trying to do the math here. How y'all doing? How y'all feeling about this 28-36 rule? Does it seem unrealistic? I'm sure it does in America. 80,000. times 36% equals 2,800 a month. Divided by 12, that's 2,400. But you have to minus out that. What number was that? Told you? Does anybody remember the number I said that talked about mortgage? You got to minus out that mortgage. So let me write that down because sometimes you got to write stuff down. 2,400 on total debt, mortgage included. Mortgage and household expenses included. Just to remind you what household expenses are. So that's basically 28 times 80,000. Oh, it's 866. That was the number. 866. So 2,400 minus 1866. I hope you're understanding the math. What I'm saying is, of the housing expenses, you should only be paying 28% on your housing. Meaning, if you make $80,000 a year, you should only be paying about $1,900 in housing. That's mortgage and all the housing costs that you have. Now you remove your housing cost, and you have the rest of it, right? That means 36% should include everything. The remaining percentage has to be all debt, your car loans, your your credit card loans, your any type of loan, personal loans. You should only be spending $534. $534, right? So meaning all your debt should only come up to about $2,400 a month if you're making 80,000. I told you, most people make half that. So truly, most people shouldn't have. If you have a credit card debt and your credit card debt is more than $250 a month, you are living outside of your means. So you need to make more money. Like, if you want to live the life that I'm not knocking away the life that you want to live, but if you want to live the life that you live, you got to follow this. This is a strong investment financial rule. If you want to have a nice car where you have a $400 payment, then you're going to have to make $100,000 a year. Otherwise, you're just showing that you have a nice car, but you're struggling outside of the financial rule of 28 to 36 rule. I hope everybody understands that. So reasonable debt is basically 28% housing, 36% total. So go home tonight, get your salary, and calculate how much debt you should have, and get rid of that debt or make more money. All right. So there is good debt, but it needs to fit where you have a good return on an investment. Here's another good debt. Like I said before, having a mortgage is great. Having a mortgage is great. There's nothing wrong with having a mortgage. It gives you leverage. Because it's better to own, even if you have I only have 3% interest. So the amount I'm saving having this office for my business, I'm using my home not only as a place where I live, but an asset generator. I'm talking to you. You're buying my book. Yeah, right? You're buying my book. You're buying, I'm giving you a service now. You're buying my book, right? I just taught you about 2836 rule. Like, I'm transforming your lives here. You can at least buy my book, right? I'm using my home as an asset generator, right? So I'm glad I invested in it. It has increased my net worth, but I had to take a loan. So what are the other types of good debt which provide leverage? Leverage is basically nothing more than borrowing money, right, to save time on the exponential investment that you can get from having the asset right away. That's leverage. You can try to raise the money and take 5 years to raise the money, especially look at inflation costs. You're trying to raise money and then the inflation costs jump up. You're losing money with time. You're losing money with time. So what a loan does, that's why I'm grateful for my student loan. My student loan saved me time. And because it saved me time, I had exponential growth from my career. So I don't have a problem paying back my student loan because I use it as leverage to give me power to do something grand. I have a PhD because I took out $15,000 for an undergraduate degree. All right? I have a massive return on my investment. I only spent $15,000 and I'm getting a great salary, a great career, a great life because I invested a small amount of money at 3%. It was worth it versus just trying to work and then not getting these things. So, how can you have leverage? You have leverage number 1 in business. In business. So, businesses need inventory. They need to buy and sell products. They may not have the time to raise the money for these products to sell them, but if they borrow, if they get small business loans, right? To get enough capital to purchase assets to lead to more innovation. That's what businesses are doing. You know, big businesses borrow money. They have they get capital to do innovative things. You think about this cell phone that we're using. Somebody had to give them capital to do innovative things. Business cards, small business loans, it saves time. A lot of people hate on rich folk. They like, oh, why do they have a private jet? Especially now, have you seen the amount of delays that happen? I mean, I thought I was like, you know what? I'm never gonna go on a plane that doesn't have a first class. Not that I'm gonna be in the first class, but I want a plane that has a first class because I was thinking they treat people who buy expensive tickets better than people like me who may go on a flight that is just all one type of person that they get on earlier and stuff, but they don't necessarily have a different type of seat, etc. But even those planes are delaying, and people have to make deals. Time is money, so they buy assets that can cause their exponential growth to happen. Number two, leverage in personal finance. Personal finance, like buying a home, taking out a student loan, purchasing a car. Sometimes you gotta take out a car loan. There's nothing wrong with taking out a car loan. You need a car to get from point A to point B so that you can make money in your job. Especially in places like Florida, where the public transportation is not on par to like New York City. So you're like, okay, I need to get to class in 2 hours. I gotta it's gonna take me 2 hours to get to class. Something that would be a 15-minute ride. I gotta get on a bus that's on schedule and delays, and I miss class. I fail my exam because I missed class. What's the leverage here? The leverage is you purchase the car, you get a car loan, and you get to class in 15 minutes, and then you graduate, and you get your degree, or you get your job. You understand? So there's value in purchasing a car. The key thing is make sure you have a good return on investment on the car. You should pay off cars in 3 years. Anything longer than that is depreciable items taking all your money in interest, right? Or remember, let it be a part of that 36%. That's all. Let it be a part of that 36%. Don't let it exceed the 36%. There is value in getting car loans and student loans and homes because it provides leverage. But just don't let it pass the 36% of your income. Number 3, you have leverage in investing. Now, here's the danger. I'm not really a fan of leveraging and investing. There are people who don't have a lot of money, but if they had a lot of money, they could make a lot of money. Man, if I had a lot of money and made bets the way I've made for the past 10 years, on average 30% increase over, like, the stock market has been booming, right? It's been booming. It's crashing now, but it's been booming. It's doing better today, as I heard. But the point is, if I had been able to invest $1 million the way I invested my $6,000 in my Roth IRA, for instance, 30% on $1 million is a lot of money. So what people do is they borrow the million. I'm just exaggerating, but they borrow. No, I'm not really. But they borrow the million, and they make the increase. They pay back the debt at low percentages, and they get that big increase. That's what it's called buying on margin, using borrowed money to purchase securities. I don't think novices should do this. I don't think novices should do this. This should be done by people who are professionals. But I'm just giving you an example of how you can use borrowed money at low interest to get a maximized profit. And the interest payment is pennies. Pennies compared to the amount of money you made. You get it? Just like my student loan. The interest was like 3% on my $15,000. That's pennies compared to the massive amount of education that I have received because of it. There is value in taking out debt. It's just you got to follow that rule. 2836. That's the first rule. Housing versus total debt. And when you take out student loans, you have to consider the return on your investment in your career. You need to choose certain schools based on your career. If you want to be a teacher in the inner cities of America, just know that you're not going to get paid a lot of money. Therefore, it might be wise not to go to a school that's going to charge you $100,000. You are not going to get $100,000 in your first year, right? You're going to get about $40,000, $50,000 in your first year. So you need to go to a school that charges about $10,000 to $15,000 a year. Like, where is that? Well, that's state schools, public institutions. And you have to work, and you have to do all the things I taught you last time, get scholarships, so that you don't have to take out massive amounts of debt, that will not give you a proper return on investment. All right. Lastly, number four, you can use financial leverage in professional trading. That's kind of what I talked about earlier. So you can leverage in investing. You don't just buy on margin for financial trading. You buy on margin for, take out a home equity loan. Some people, they take out a home equity loan on one home, purchase a duplex, rent it out. They're getting paid rent that's nowhere near the interest on their home equity loan. They were able to use their home's equity to get a good amount of capital money to finance an investment, like another rental property, and make a profit on that. And the profit is way more than the interest on the home. You're able to pay back the home equity loan plus interest, plus you have extra money. People do this. You have to be very serious to do it. I'm not suggesting everybody do it, especially, if you don't have the skill set or the willingness to see it through, because I think a lot of that caused the housing crash back in 2008, right? People who, first of all, banks did not really follow through with proper financial education with these people. Some people had no financial education. They got into subprime mortgages. They did not know what they were doing. They had poor credit. That means they weren't diligent in their financial literacy. And then they want to do some big investing. No. Listen, start off with the 2836 rule. Manage that. Manage your own credit. Manage your own personal investments. And once you do that, then you can use other opportunities to leverage. right? Like I said before, the last one is financial trading, using money to invest in the stock market. That should be done by more experienced traders, right? So anyway, I hope you learned something today. I hope you learned about the reasonable type of debt. You can have debt, nothing wrong with it, because you can use it as leverage in terms of time. Saving time is money. And a loan is there so that you can get something fast to make a substantial profit in a speedier amount of time as compared to you run out of time. In life you run out of time. And so sometimes debt is necessary. So you out there who wants to go to school and you want to go to a institution where you feel you're supported and you'll grow and you'll graduate in a reasonable amount of time and you'll get what you want. You'll actually become the doctor that you decide want. You'll actually become the engineer that you want. Take out that loan. Engineers start salary is about $60,000-$70,000. So take out that loan. Just don't let it exceed. When I say take out a loan, I'm talking about $60,000 over the 4 years. So make sure you don't take out more than $15,000 a year in student loans if you want to be an engineer whose starting salary is $60,000. You see that? Like, well, only $15,000 a year? That's right. So you got to manage what school you go to. And then once you graduate and you have your career and you have your paycheck and you're paying off your student loans and you're paying your rent and you're paying your car loan and you shouldn't have credit cards right after school. Like, don't take out credit cards while you're in school. Don't even start that process, right? Make sure you follow that 28-36 rule where your housing expenses is no more than 28% of your salary, your yearly salary, and all of your expenses, all of your debts. Don't bypass 36% of your salary. If it does, start making more money. If it does, scroll back on your spending and live inside of your means. I hope this was helpful. I love you guys. I didn't see much people talking. Any questions? I think people started they saw that 28-36 rule and they're like, "Oh my god." Mommy, you're kind of quiet there. How's it going there? You still thinking about getting another couch or something? Mommy's always buying stuff. Good, 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 good. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Good evening, everybody. You guys have a great night. I'm the phenomenal semist. Get free.